everyone, and welcome to EduMesh Tweet and Talk number 29. You can follow the Google Hangout at bit.ly/tweettalk29. Also, back channel with us on Twitter with the hashtag EduMatch. Speaking of EduMatch, if you are interested in being the EduMatch person of the day, then just fill out the Google form at edumatch.education. So before we begin, just wanted to give a huge shout out to DigCit Summit UK, which is going on January 23rd in England, as well as EdCamp Global, which will be going on the 28th and the 29th of January. They're still looking for student and teacher facilitators. And also the ISTE Digital Equity PLN is having a Twitter chat this Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can check that out at hashtag ISTEDEPLN. So tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about teacher buy-in for technology. So I just wanted to introduce our fantastic moderators. We have Margaret Sisler and Dr. Will Deyamport. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you all.
Hello, my name is Margaret Sisler, and I'm a high school tech coach here in Chantilly, Virginia, Northern Virginia, outside of D.C. I work in a large high school, and as always, I think teacher buy-in for technology is sometimes a struggle and always a necessity. Dr. Will, do you want to introduce yourself, and then we'll hand it over to the panelists?
All righty, how are you doing? Dr. Will, District Instructional Technologist, trying to bring up the tech game in the Dirty South. And definitely with what I do with my job, particularly now overseeing one-to-one at 2 sites, teacher buy-in to technology is something that I am working to learn more about. So everybody ready to start the questions?
Sure.
All right, Margaret, you can ask the first one.
All right, before we get started, can we have everybody go around and introduce yourself and let us know who you are and where you're joining us from?
Well, hello, my name is Giani Clarkson. I am a teacher at Howard University Middle School for Mathematics and Science. I teach 8th grade U.S. history here in the district.
Hello, my name is Knikole Taylor, and I am a math and science coach in Lancaster ISD. It's a suburb of Dallas.
Hi, I'm Christian Padgett. I am an instructional technology coach and co-teacher here at Fulton County Schools in Atlanta, Georgia.
Anne, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Ann Francis. I teach special ed at the middle school here at Buffalo Prairie Middle School, as well as special ed technology.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So our very first question is it really up to a teacher whether to choose whether to integrate technology in his or her classroom? And with that, how do we guarantee that students are getting exposure and a chance to develop the skills that they really need? Who'd like to take that one on?
I will. I don't know if it's up to the teacher to decide if, but I do feel like it's up to the teacher to decide when. That you kind of, you want to kind of give them some say as to, because you want it to be a seamless integration. I think all teachers, their classrooms all have different personality, and teachers do things a different way. But I really think that the students that we teach now, and the jobs and things that we're preparing kids for, we don't even know what these kids are going to go out into the world to do. That we really can't say like no technology. A teacher really should not be able to say no, I'm not going to do it at all.
I honestly don't believe that it is up to the teacher. I think that if a teacher truly wants to be successful in the classroom, then they have to admit what age we are in. So technology is definitely necessary. The Kaiser Foundation, here they are, have recently done a study which talks about how 75% of students have televisions in their room, that 50% of children have homes where the TV is on all day. The fact that over 80% of most students between elementary and middle school own a personal device, which of course can be an iPad or any type of tablet. So that being the case, technology is something that is not going away. It's something that we can't run from. So it's not a fact of whether you integrate it or not. It's already here. So that being the case, I feel that it's important for teachers to accept it. If for the longest, teachers have tried to, or some teachers have tried to run from it, but I feel like it's part of what is part of the educational culture now, and it's very necessary.
I think to add on to what Giani just said, it is a necessity, but I think we also got to remember that we have to know how to train teachers with this in this process as well. I think that's the big piece. I think you have to have the right people in there coaching those teachers who are afraid, because I mean, I know at times I even get afraid with technology to some extent. And I know I have to have people in my corner who can coach me along with it as I coach other people along with it. So I think that's a big part as well.
I would really agree with that also. Because I'm from a really rural area, there's still lots of places we don't even have cell phone service and internet. So it is really scary for the teachers. And we really need to keep in mind that technology doesn't have to just be with the iPads or a device. It can be low tech too, as easy as just taking a picture and starting from there.
I think that's a really good point, as well as the training that has to go in. I think it's important that we build in that time. A lot of times we expect this to happen magically overnight, and it's not going to. Dr. Will, do you want to chime in with one of yours?
Yeah, because it's interesting because you talk about time, you talk about training teachers, and one of my frustrations this year has been, how do I walk that line between sort of knowing what the district wants and relaying that to teachers in terms of allowing them the freedom of choosing, because I never tell teachers how to use this, but I have set parameters of, I would like to see this happen, but it's up to them to do that. So in doing that, what do you do when teachers just flat out refuse to use the technology? What is your advice there? How should you lead that teacher to seeing the importance of that?
E.L. Holloway has a really good book called Shine, and Shine's about how do you develop strong organizational development. And one of the things that he speaks about is how do you make sure that everyone feels comfortable and allowing teachers to be human. Unfortunately, when we insert new things into the classroom, we expect everyone to get it right away, and that's extremely unfair. So I think that one of the best ways to make sure that technology is being able to be used in the classroom in a more effective way is by providing enough opportunities for teachers to get comfortable with the technology. Currently at our school, we are now a Google classroom school, and we absolutely love it. But what's allowed it to flourish so well at MS Squared is that our principal is allowing us the opportunity to make mistakes, the opportunity for us to learn about the software and be able to do those things, so that overall what happens is that we are able to produce a better product and fully use the technology to its fullest extent. So I think that it's about making sure that everyone's comfortable, allowing people to be human, and then moving on from there, and then taking lessons learned out of that whole process.
Who's that? Who else is going to answer the question?
I think when you also deal with teachers who, as Dr. Will kind of put it, may not flat out use it. I think it goes back to even like we do with our students. Honestly, this is a new year for me. I'm learning how to work with teachers and work with students. And the one thing that I can really say is that a lot of things that we say about what we need to do for students as teachers, we honestly just need to do for teachers and do for people in general, because we are all pretty much the same. We are all human. Those are things that you just do for people. And one of those things is you got to know those teachers. I think like, I mean, we've all had a student before that has pretty much told us, you know, they're not going to pretty much do something, but you figure out a way to reach that child. It's the same thing with that student. I mean, with that teacher, you have to go through and really get to know that teacher. And that's one thing I can say I really have learned a lot this year in my role. And then not only that, but so many times when so many tech coaches try to go so grandiose with things. I mean, sometimes we just need to keep it simple. You know, just show them a very simple tool. Just show them one thing. If you think about the technology integration matrix that comes from the University of Central Florida, you know, we're trying to look at things as how we can be more transformative. But sometimes we don't need to be there. We need to get people in the very basic beginning step. And just getting to know them and work with them is the key to it.
Christian, I think that's a really good point too. I'm getting ready to present tomorrow for our groups, and I'm having to go back through my presentation and make it much simpler and for my presentation tomorrow, as well as add in additional ideas, because the students may have ideas, but some of the teachers that are older and may not have used the technology may not have some of the ideas that we do. So just really respecting them and bringing them along, like you said, I think is really important.
You know, also, I think it's, you know, I think that's a very good point about simplifying the technology that you do include in the classroom. You know, even if it's something as simple as just taking a picture, or, you know, I think about one of my favorite new apps that I use in my classroom, which is called Plickr. Plickr is a great website to check for understanding with classrooms. What you do is you have cards that are printed out, and students are able to answer questions by holding different angles of the card. You're able to take your cell phone and basically take a picture of those cards to see who answered the question correctly. And that's something that's very simple. Plickr is free, and it just costs the amount of printing about 10, 15 sheets of paper, and that's it. And I think that by starting small and then building up allows kind of the anxiety of inserting technology in the classroom for some teachers to be a lot easier.
I think starting easy and building those relationships is a great place to start. I think it's also important that we focus on the instruction and the pedagogy, the how and the why we're teaching this way, as well as the new tool or the cool thing that we want to show off. I think a lot of the 21st century skills that are coming, or that our students need to develop, are built in and happen naturally when we use some of these tools. Collaboration, for example, with Google Apps. We're starting to see that our high school students have been using Google Apps from elementary school, and now they're coming into school demanding more than just a sit and get lecture style high school classroom. What advice would you have for high school teachers who are feeling the pressure from their students, let alone it's coming from the top down and from the students, as they're starting to make this transition?
I think it's something that we said earlier, is that to start small and build. And also I think that sometimes with technology, and we have to be very honest with this, we open Pandora's box of sometimes students abusing it. I think that when you are starting with technology, and this especially in high school, to create a society of trust, that everyone knows that we can make trustworthy decisions with the technology. I think about this immediately with one website that I use in the classroom, which is called Today's Meet. Today's Meet is a way for students to ask me questions about a certain lesson by logging onto a website, and by raising the, by me reading what they've sent to me privately in the website, no one has to feel any kind of anxiety about asking a dumb question or anyone having those looks. Now, with a website like that, and certainly in the classroom, trust has to be part of the conversation. So everyone knows that we can't abuse this. Our language we must create language that is safe for everyone that's involved. So I think that with a high school student, we have to, one, make sure, or with inserting technology in high school, we have to, one, make sure that everyone understands there are rules, two, that we provide things that are safe, and three, that it also is directly connected to lesson goals and objectives, that we're just not using something because it's a cool new bell and whistle, which someone said earlier, just for the sake of conversation, but using something that actually brings merit to brings educational value to the student.
I think that's a great point, and that sometimes our teachers need to be reassured that we're not asking them to use something just because it's the new thing. Anne?
Well, one of the things that I was thinking about is I haven't heard someone say that, you know, when we get up in front of a group of students, we're afraid to make mistakes, and we feel like our lessons have to be perfect, and if we don't have a perfect command of it, it's really hard for us to go forward with it. But I'm getting ready to teach Minecraft, and I'm not good at it, and I make lots of mistakes, and my teachers are actually my students, and when they can show and teach what they're learning, they're able to go forward, and they can do a lot more than we could do sitting up and doing a lecture and 30,000 worksheets.
And I think that's the beauty of technology. I can think of the tech tools that I use the best are the ones that I've kind of introduced to kids and said, hey, I don't really know how to use this, but we're going to learn how to use this together, and I'll show them what I know, and then they'll blow my mind. I think that's the beauty of tech tools. It puts the kids in the driver's seat, and they absolutely love when they're able to take a tool and show you how to use it better. So it's a win-win.
All right, so let me get down to this. I want to say the nitty-gritty because, again, dealing with everything we talk about, I don't know if this will wrap up, but how much of a teacher's evaluation, okay, should be negatively or positively impacted by their actual implementation of technology in the classroom?
I'm going to answer this one right now because I feel like that's a big thing for me, especially here in the state of Georgia. Anybody who knows about anything with Georgia, we have a very, very strenuous teacher evaluation system called TEKS. I really do not feel like the technology should be the focus on the teacher's evaluation. And I can say in our evaluation system, it is not necessarily the focus. It can help you and it can hinder you, but it's not the focus. We are rated, there are 3 parts to our evaluation system. The first part is the teacher, the ratings on the 10 standards that we can get observed on throughout the year. We get observed on everything from professional knowledge to differentiation to academically challenging environment, instructional strategies, instructional planning, assessment use and strategies, positive learning environment. But what I think the technology can do is help you to grow in each of those areas. Like I had to sell, and every year we also have to have a mid-year and a summative conference with your evaluator. One thing I appreciate about my evaluators in the past is that I've been able to share like how the technology has helped me to grow. Like I will tell anybody, professionally, Twitter has been the best PD that I've ever had. And it helps me with my professional knowledge and instructional strategies. It also helps me with communication and professionalism. So I think it's not so much a thing of how it should not have an impact on your evaluation system, but I think it should be able to help you in your evaluation.
I'll piggyback off of what Christian said. I really think, the observation should be what are students able to do. So based on what the teacher is giving them, so it can help an observation. But like you said, if you're just willy-nilly and putting kids on websites and it doesn't really add to the learning objective, then it can hinder. Whenever I do observations, I'm not even really concentrating on the teacher. I want to know, what are kids able to do? How are you able to guide students? Are they able to tell me what they're learning, why they're learning? And if the technology doesn't lend to that, then it would get in the way and it would hinder the observation.
honestly think until there is a formalized rubric for inserting technology in the classroom, I think that's unfair. I think it's unfair because I think that we're still across the board learning what can technology fully do. So that being the case, I think that it's until there's a complete rubric that states what are the expectations of a teacher and technology in the classroom, that I think it's unfair to use that as a evaluation tool. However, I do believe that it is coming down the pipeline. I do think that it's something that will be inserted probably sooner than later, and I think that that is that's okay. I think that'll be okay, but I also always say that let all evaluations of teachers be something that is fair and something that is measurable to the overall educational goals that are being reached by the students.
I just want to add on to what Giani just mentioned. I think that is really, really important. And I also just want to say that I feel like if we were to use the tool, use a tech tool and say, and evaluate a teacher on it, then you're not really evaluating the instruction anymore. You're evaluating a tool and how the teacher uses it versus the instructional practices. So I think that's another big thing that we also need to keep in mind. And another piece that we also have to keep in mind is we're talking about should this be in an evaluation, should it be part of an evaluative tool, but people who come into the classroom sometimes to observe us being truthful do not always understand instruction. So I think that's another big piece to also understand. Will they understand the tech tool when they come into the room? You know, I think that's another big piece that we also need to understand.
Here in Missouri, our teacher evaluation system has gone back and forth. And right now, one of the things that is a big thing for us is if a principal or evaluator would go in and find students sitting at a desk doing a worksheet, that's actually a downgrade. If they're working collaboratively in teams and working together, that's considered what we're supposed to be doing. We don't really have enough training to be doing some of those things yet, so the technology is integrated, but we're not really far enough where they're looking specifically at those tools, at least in my part of Missouri.
All right, all right. So, what is our time looking like, Sarah?
Yeah, we are good. We are good. So I just wanted to thank everyone for all of your fantastic insights. Huge shout out to our moderators tonight, Dr. Will and Margaret. Fantastically done. Thank you to everyone on panel for all of your great insights. Thank you to everyone on Twitter. Saw y'all tweeting feverishly, so that was awesome. Thank you to everyone who is lurking. So this chat will be storified and also available as an iTunes podcast. So come back next week. We're going to be talking about the parent-teacher balance. So we're looking at educators who are parents and how do you juggle those two roles. Anyone can be a panelist, so just leave a comment on the Google Hangout page, bit.ly/tweettalk30. Also wanted to give a huge shout out to the ISTE DEPLN, which will be going on this Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about digital equity, as well as EdCamp Global, which is going on January 28th and 29th, so check them out as well. And that about does it for us. So thank you all so much again for joining, and looking forward to the next conversation. So have a great night, everybody.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.